Hello and welcome back to the Hands-On Podcast. I will be your host, Kaleb Ranquist, and today I am with Diane Charrier of the EMT program and also a former firefighting student. Diane, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here, thank you.
So you're currently taking the EMT program, is that correct?
Yeah, and it's really fun.
What kind of activities are you doing in class right now?
Well, mostly we've been doing a lot of bookwork. So getting used to things, learning how to understand different types of illnesses, like what to look for the signs. And then we've also done CPR training. It's been a lot of fun.
So what exactly does CPR training entail?
Basically doing compressions, air, so like the breathing bags, to make sure that we can give the right amount of breaths, making sure that they're in the right position to give the CPR, so they're on their back.
So do you get a CPR certification for completing it?
Yep. We get our BLS, which is our basic life safety. We'll get there.
So you took firefighting last year, is that correct?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff did you do in firefighting last year?
We did a lot of hands-on work. So we learned how to do we worked with the hose, we worked with the fire truck, learning how to do basically pump the truck, how to get water flowing through it, learning how to pack up, to go in, to breathe air through our SCBAs, and learning how to find victims inside of the houses or whatever building that we're going into, and working on how to communicate with each other properly so that we can work as a team.
What kind of skills might you need in order to take the program and do it successfully for firefighting?
Definitely a lot of patience, being able to work with one another, whether you get along outside of the class or not. And I feel like also communication, that's definitely a huge thing. And also willing to have a drive to want to do it. Like, don't go in there not wanting to be a firefighter. Like, you don't want that mindset. You want a positive mindset too. What
activities might you be doing in the future in EMT?
Well, currently, actually, I'm a junior firefighter for our Heartland Volunteer Fire Department.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I joined the EMT class actually to help get those certifications, because after, what I want to do is hopefully after college I want to go back and I want to join the EMS side of everything and get involved in that, and hopefully the firefighting side as a professional full-time job.
That's really cool. So do you have any future plans to go into a career in firefighting or EMT medical?
I think I just want to stay, I don't know, I kind of want to go full-time, but also, I want to stay on my department, my volunteer department. The bond I have with the guys there is, unconditional. I wouldn't want to have to restart, if that makes sense. So yes and no, I guess. At the same time, it's really hard to say fully.
So what kind of career are you planning on going for?
So actually, I got accepted into Washington County Community College for automotive tech, which is a whole different spectrum over here, nothing to do with first responding, but.
Have you taken the automotive program?
No, I haven't. I wanted to, but then I found out that we had the firefighting one, and I was like, whoa, that's way closer to home. I have a lot of that knowledge. I probably could do that more successfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard choice to decide between the two.
Yeah, sounds like it. I was actually thinking about between taking two different programs this year. It's hard to decide.
Yeah, that's what it was, because last year I had before even signing up, I was these are the two. I wanted to do truck driving my senior year, so this year. And then last year I was I want to do automotive tech. This is what I want to do. And then I was wait, there's firefighting. No, I kind of want to do that. That's closer to home. I could get all these certifications, get it done, and for free. Why not take that if I'm already interested in it? Why not take that and use that to my advantage?
My original plan was last year to take cybersecurity and then this year to take CAD.
Yeah.
But then I saw multimedia and I decided to take that, give it a shot, and I love it here.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a positive environment, and I like
really
that.
Is.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any certifications out of this class?
Yep, so I have my CPR one, and I also actually got a certification for being our captain in EMT.
Oh, nice.
Yep, so, and then I have my mandated reporter one, and I have another one, but I don't remember what it's called. I know I have my Stop the Bleed one.
So what do you guys do in Stop the Bleed? I know Mr. Wentworth kind of talked about it a little bit, but can you go into a bit more detail as to what the students do?
So basically we learn how to, if there's an open wound, how to pack it to stop the bleeding in that, how to, if you have a broken arm, how to stop that temporarily until we can get you to a better place, how to put on tourniquets and use them properly, making sure they're tightened all the way because kind of that's the point of a tourniquet. And then there's also like doing slings and doing like bandaging up things, I feel like, if that's the way they explain it. Like if you have a cut, you're not going to obviously pack it because it's just a little cut, but you're going to want to put a bandage on it or gauze or something. So,
have you done anything with the 911 training?
Yeah, so actually in our firefighting class last year, we did a lot of our dispatch. We actually went with our criminal justice would come on the days that we were there on Wednesdays. We'd interact with them, and we would go over like we had these papers that we'd go over, and they had a lot of what are they called? Scenarios, and we would learn how to, as a dispatcher, and we would learn how we'd make that call, and then on the firefighting side, what we would do on that, and then the criminal justice would do like their police force side of it, and then we also in the back of our room we actually have like this dispatch setup of like it's set up like the real one is, but it's fake. So it has like the basic setup, but
yeah,
it was really fun. We did a lot of that. It was really confusing at first because we have one computer with just a map, and you're just looking at it, you're like, how do I explain where this is to like the other route? Like full respect to the dispatchers, like going into that's insane.
Yeah.
And then we also went to PRCC this year and last year actually, and we got to job shadow them and see what they did in their sites. And we were there, and we got to see how they would do everything with like a call, like call them, and we'd see what they would type in, how they would do it, how they stayed so calm with some of these. Like I was like, wow.
Yeah, it seems like, at least from 911 calls I've heard before, it seems like you have to be a very patient and calm person to do it.
Yeah, like I don't understand how you can stay that calm. Like if somebody called me saying their child wasn't breathing, I'd be like, oh, okay. Like I would be personally in shock. I wouldn't know what to say.
Yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of people do. I feel like it's one of the biggest reasons why we have a 911 center.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would freeze though. I'd be like, yep, okay.
Yeah, it's a very important thing to know.
Yeah, you definitely have to have that patience and definitely that work drive. Like you don't want to go in there being a bum and not wanting to be there.
Yeah. So for firefighting, are there any stressful parts or things that take a lot of effort, things that people might want to know before actually taking the program?
Oh, just know if you have fears, you're going to be pushed to do those fears. Like, if you're claustrophobic, when you pack up, you're going to feel it. Like, you're going to go into panic. Like, the first time I did it, I remember vividly, like, I put on the mask, and I knew prior going to it I was going to be scared because of the fire department. And I put it on, and I was, like, hyperventilating, like I was panicking. I was starting to have a panic attack, and Dylan was in the class, and he was like, all right, just like focus on me, focus on something else. And we would talk, and we had a conversation. It actually calmed me down. So like, just know if you're claustrophobic, it's gonna be hard. It definitely is. I feel like also if you're afraid of heights, that's definitely another thing, because you're gonna climb ladders, and I'm terrified of ladders, and that was a big push.
Yeah, a lot of people are scared of heights, but a lot of people also have like strategies to help them cope with what they're doing. Do you guys have anything there, or is it more of just a getting used to it thing?
I feel like it also depends on your crew. I definitely know with my crew, a lot of us were scared. Like actually, everybody on my crew last year was scared of heights. It was really hard. We actually had one of them, and we were on a demo day, and he had to climb a ladder, and we worked a good 20 minutes on him just getting up the first 2 rungs. It was initially just taking that first step, getting your first leg up, and then holding yourself on that rung, knowing that you could step up and step down. And then we would gradually move him up, because we didn't want, like, personally, I'm like, if I'm scared of something, I'm not going to want to just go right into it. I want to work into it. I want to ease into it, and just, instead of just like testing the waters right away, like work me into that. Like, don't push me.
Yeah, but sometimes working your way into it isn't an option, and you have to try to get used to doing it as fast as you can.
Yeah, and another thing is like on the fire department, I know our department, if you don't want to do something and you're on a scene and because you're scared to, they're not going to put you in a predicament that they're going to make you. Like if you don't feel like you can go inside, they're going to choose another guy who will. If you're like, I'm scared of ladders, they know that. If there's not other people there to go up, they will put me up. but they're not going to because I'm so scared. I'd be the last person they'd fall on.
Yeah, it's nice that a lot of them are flexible with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's really great, and I appreciate that because if I'm scared, I'm not going to do you any good. Like, you don't want two people, if you're going up, you're obviously going up for a safety thing. You don't want me being a safety violation or being a hazard or a danger to anything. And I also wouldn't want to put myself in that. Like, I'd be more scared going up than actually doing my job out there. Because once I'm up there initially, I'm fine. But going up that ladder, no. Done. Absolutely not.
So kind of going back to EMT, what are some skills or stresses that people might want to know about before taking EMT?
Ooh, blood. If you pass out at the sight of blood, definitely not a thing for you. Personally, I don't. So I feel like it's definitely hard to say how you'd work yourself out with that. But also needles is another thing. You see a lot of needles. If you're scared of needles going into people, probably not a thing for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And if you can't see, like, crushing injuries, probably not a thing.
Yeah. First two, I'm not so bad with, but personally, I can't stand seeing terrible injuries.
Like, if you saw a bone sticking out of a leg.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah, probably not a job for you then. Nope.
Yeah.
And you also have to have a lot of patience because there will be, like, if you're getting called to somewhere and you show up to that person's house because they're like aunt or their mother's on the ground not breathing, they're going to be hysteric, and you have to be able to be professional and not laugh, because I know certain people in like those bad predicaments, they will laugh, like, and I totally understand that because
they're not acting the way that they normally would. They'd be acting, but the thing is, it's not in a bad way. They can't handle themselves.
Right, and they also don't know how to control it. Like, if I just saw my mother on the ground dying, I'd be like, I would be hysteric too. I'd probably be crying. I'd be mad. Like, you have to be able to take that weight of other people. Like, I remember Bill telling a story of how he was talking to us about a story that he was told that this guy, like, full on came up and started punching them because he was so frustrated. And I was like, bro, like, that's insane. Like, you have to be able to take that heat and know that it's not personally attacking you. You just happen to be that one there. And you have to be able to remain professional and not take your anger out back. So that's another thing. I feel like definitely being able to control yourself and your emotions.
Yeah. So do you only deal with, like, I guess physical injury or physical stuff, or do you also deal with, like, mental stuff?
Typically it's just physical, but, like, mental wise would be like ODs and stuff like that, because that's still technically a mental thing. That'd be like a psychology thing. But definitely we can deal with those. It's hard though, especially knowing like if it's a kid overdosing, like that's crazy.
Yeah. And I feel like you probably have to have different certifications for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, being able to handle that and like handling medications.
But it is at least important to know this kind of stuff. That way, if you come across it, you know what to do about it. Yeah,
that's definitely a thing. And remembering the names of medicine, by the way, is not easy.
I don't know how they do it.
Bill will spit words out at us, and I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, no, Bill. He's like, you just read the book. I'm like, yeah, I know I read the book, but I don't know what that means. And like pronouncing them, it's like reading a doctor's signature. Not possible.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Welcome back to the Hands On Podcast. I am with Bill Wentworth of EMT and Firefighting.
Correct.
To the show.
Thank you.
Why did you first start teaching at TCTC?
Well, I was a firefighter EMT in Bangor for 31 years, and I retired. And this opportunity presented itself. They were looking for an EMT instructor. So I applied for the job, got accepted for the position, and about halfway through my first year, I approached our director about starting a firefighting program as well.
Nice.
And he gave me permission to start it the following year. And that year, my first year here, was the start of COVID. So my first year as a teacher was the COVID year.
That must have been rough.
It was rough. I already was quite unsure of what I was doing. And then to add the COVID into it and remote learning, it was tough.
How was it with the remote learning? Was it any different? Well, of course it must have been different, but was it chaotic?
I think the remote learning was harder than in person. It was a lot more difficult. The hands-on stuff we had to make up as we went along. Yep. I would have different props that I would send out on Fridays to different students.
So they have it for
a week.
Yeah.
To practice. Could be splinting, or I'd send out CPR mannequins or something like that for them to practice different skills.
That must have been weird if you had to do CPR on camera and it's like the camera freezes. That must have been...
Yeah, I had them because my internet at home was not ideal, and with the video and everything, most of them submitted, they'd record a video and then send it to me that way.
That's smart.
Of their skills. So they had more than one attempt to do the skill as well.
Yeah. Yep. How long have you been teaching TCGC for?
2019, so this is my 5th year here.
Nice, congrats.
Thank you.
What is one of the most interesting things you've ever done with the EMT or firefighting in your career or while teaching?
Well, I think last year we had a student that went to the Skills USA competition here in Maine, and he took the gold for the state.
Nice.
And then in June, we traveled to Atlanta, and he took silver medal in the nationals in firefighting. So
that's insane.
I guess that was probably the
highlight of...
Not necessarily highlight, but it was one of those things that, maybe once or twice in a career where you get to go to national competitions and actually have someone that medals.
Yeah. How, if you don't mind me asking, how long was the trip to Atlanta?
We flew down. We flew out of Bangor. I think it was about 3 to 4 hours. I don't remember. It wasn't a bad trip. Coming back was worse because Atlanta is one of the busiest airports in the world, and it's awful.
Talk about delay.
Yeah. It's awful.
How are the students? Like, do you enjoy teaching?
I do. I have fun. I like to try to connect with them and joke around, and
I could tell.
We have a pretty good time, I think, for the most part. I've been super fortunate with good students that want to be there. Yeah. So when somebody wants to be somewhere, they tend to be a little more engaged in it.
Yeah. You kind of have to have an open mind in this type of job. Am I correct?
Yep. Yeah. I have students that aren't necessarily looking to get into this career, but they may want to be a volunteer somewhere, or they may be going on into nursing or some other medical field, and they like having that base of medical knowledge from the EMT program.
And it's also like a good thing to have underneath their belt for...
Yeah, it's a good skill to have. We try to do some trainings with other fire departments around, so they get to work with other fire departments. My students, I encourage them to be members of a junior department somewhere, so that they can get that experience as well.
What does the EMT stand for?
EMT stands for Emergency Medical Technician.
Okay. That makes sense. What is expectations when you're going into firefighting?
So for firefighting, it's a physically demanding job. Yep. So we try to work on fitness every day. Could be a stretch, or it could be actual PT with push-ups, sit-ups, that type of stuff, or it could be some sort of fire-related type of PT.
What other, like, how's the grading work? That's what I was wondering.
So the grading, there are national standards that we go by. If our students complete the program, at the end of the program, they're eligible to take the Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 Pro Board exams.
That's insane.
And if they take those, they can be certified firefighters.
That's insane.
And that's a Pro Board certification, so it's good in almost every state.
Oh, that's awesome. What is, like, do you have to renew that every so often?
No.
Or no?
No,
It's
not
for
for
life.
the firefighting. The
life.
EMT certification has to be, it's every 2 years is the recertification.
Oh, I hear that you do EMT 911 calling training.
Yeah, so we have a 911 communications module that we do. We started that last year, and we're trying to tweak it a little this year. And Penobscot Regional Communications Center, the PRCC Center in Bangor, that takes care of all the emergency dispatching for our region, has partnered with us a little bit, and they're going to come in. They've been in once already to deliver some classes that they teach to their prospective dispatchers, and we've been down there for a tour. So it's a good. We wanted a way in Maine for law enforcement personnel. To get into law enforcement, they have to be 21 unless they go into a jail or into that emergency communications field. So we just kind of wanted another path for people to take.
More opportunities, more doors to open. That makes sense.
And we do that with the criminal justice program as well.
Why did you choose the career that you did?
It was actually by accident.
Really?
Yeah. I had saw an advertisement in the newspaper for police officers for the city of Bangor.
Nice.
And I went to City Hall, and they said, sorry, applications closed yesterday, but the fire department is hiring. Would you like an application? And I took an application and spent 31 years
Nice.
at the fire department. Never regretted not being a police officer. The best job in the world, being a firefighter.
Nice. What skills do you got would the students have to have, or the licenses and stuff like that?
So they have to, and we provide these first aid, CPR. They have to do the National Incident Management System, the ICS Incident Command System.
Yeah.
There's 3 different modules that they have to do.
Okay.
So we do those. We do Stop the Bleed. There are a few other certifications, mandated reporter.
What's the, if you don't mind elaborating on the Stop the Bleed, what is that?
So it's a program that the American Association of Surgeons, or one of those medical outfits, put together because they found that the leading cause of death after an injury is uncontrolled bleeding.
Yep.
So they thought if they could get this 1 hour, 2 hour program out to the masses of people, that we could save some lives that way. So I teach that as part of the program. They all get to Stop the Bleed. Some years we're able to get the Maine Army Guard to come in, and they put on their version of the Stop the Bleed, which is a little more in-depth. So we try to get other people in as well to teach some of these.
Right. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for being here.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.